Unit 7. Tape script 7.1. John.
Hi, I'm John. I live in London. I have a flat in Dean Street, Soho. I've lived here for 3 years. I'm a press photographer. I've worked for the London Gazette since 2010. My wife's name is Faye. We've been married for 2 years. We met at university. Faye's a receptionist at the Ritz Hotel. I get around town on a motorbike. I've had it since I was 25. Faye goes by bus. We don't have any children yet.
Taped 7.2. Questions and answers. 1.
How long has he lived in the flat?
John has lived in the flat for 3 years.
2.
How long did he live in the flat?
Karl Marx lived in the flat for 5 years.
3.
Where does he work?
John works for the London Gazette.
4.
How long has he worked there?
John has worked there since 2010.
5.
What was his job in London?
Karl Marx was a foreign correspondent for an American newspaper.
6.
Which newspaper did he write for?
Karl Marx wrote for the New York Daily Tribune.
7.
How long has he been married?
John has been married for 2 years.
8.
How long was he married?
Karl Marx was married for 38 years.
Taped 7.3. For or since. 1.
I've known John for 3 years. We met at university.
2.
I last went to the cinema 2 weeks ago. The film was really boring.
3.
I've had this watch since I was a child. My grandpa gave it to me.
4.
I lived in New York from 2005 to 2007. I had a great time there.
5.
I've lived in this house since 2008. It's got a beautiful garden.
6.
We last had a holiday 2 years ago. We went to Spain.
7.
I haven't seen you for ages. What have you been up to?
8.
We haven't had a break for over an hour. I really need a coffee.
Taped 7.4. Asking questions.
Where do you live, Susan?
In a flat near the town centre.
How long have you lived there?
For 3 years.
Why did you move there?
Because we wanted to be in a nicer area.
Taped 7.5. 1.
What do you do?
I work for an international company.
How long have you worked there?
For 2 years.
What did you do before that?
I worked for a charity.
2.
Do you know Dave Brown?
Yes, I do.
How long have you known him?
For 5 or 6 years.
Where did you meet him?
We were at university together.
Taped 7.6.
Frieda Hoffmann, archaeologist and writer.
Frieda Hoffmann was born in Germany, but she has lived most of her life abroad. She has a passion for history and ancient civilizations. Her greatest love is Africa, and she has written several books about ancient Egypt. Frieda, you've travelled a lot in your lifetime. Which countries have you been to?
Well, I've been to a lot of countries in Africa and Asia, but I've never been to South America.
When did you first go abroad?
When I was 6, my family moved to England.
Why did you move there?
Because my father got a job as Professor of History at Cambridge University.
Have you always been interested in archaeology?
Yes, I have. When I was 10, there was an exhibition of Tutankhamun, the Egyptian king, in London. My father took me to see it and I was fascinated. After that, I knew that I wanted to go to Egypt and be an archaeologist.
How many times have you been to Egypt?
20 times at least. I go as often as I can.
Have you ever discovered anything?
Yes, I've made some very important discoveries. I was the leader of a team that discovered some ancient tombs near Cairo.
You've written books about Egypt, haven't you? How many books have you written?
I've written 3 about the pharaohs, and I've written a book about a journey I made from Cairo to Cape Town.
How did you travel? By train? By car?
In a Land Rover, of course.
In all your travels, have you ever been in any dangerous situations?
Oh, goodness, yes. I've often been in danger. But in situations like that, you learn so much about yourself.
Tape 7.7. 1.
You moved to England when you were 6. Do you go back to Germany much?
No, I don't. I've been back a few times to visit relatives, but I've never lived there again. I feel more English than German now.
2.
What did you study at university?
I studied ancient history at Cambridge.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did. The course was amazing, and Cambridge was a great place to live.
3.
Have you ever had an ordinary job?
Of course I have. I've done all sorts of things. After university, I didn't have any money.
So what did you do?
I worked in a restaurant. I hated it.
Why didn't you like it?
Because the hours were so long, and the people I was working with were horrible.
4.
You said you've often been in danger. What's the most dangerous situation you've ever been in?
Well, I had a very bad car crash in Cairo. I was seriously injured and broke several bones. I spent 3 months in hospital. I was very lucky. I nearly died.
Taped 7.8. Word endings.
Photographer, receptionist, scientist, farmer, artist, politician, musician, accountant, decorator, actor, interpreter, librarian, electrician, lawyer.
Tape 7.9. Word stress. 2-syllabled nouns and adjectives. Nouns.
Danger. Kindness. Critic. Artist. Difference.
Adjectives.
Dangerous. Healthy. Friendly. Famous. Different.
2-syllabled verbs.
Invite. Explain. Discuss. Employ. Decide. Compete.
Nouns ending in shun.
Invitation. Explanation. Competition. Ambition. Decision.
Taped 7.10. David Taylor Buse.
I come from Newcastle in England, but now I live in Perth, Australia. I've been here nearly 10 years. My wife, Jodie, is Australian and our children, Russell and Alice, were born here. Alice is named after my grandmother, her great-grandmother, Alice Buse. She's 89 now and still lives in Newcastle. Lately, I've become really interested in my family history back in the UK. I've started speaking to my grandmother about it. I've found out that she was the youngest of 9 children and the only one to have been born in England. Her 8 brothers and sisters were all born in Scotland. They came from the very north of Scotland, from some islands called the Orkneys. They worked there as farmers over 100 years ago. My grandmother told me that hundreds of years before that, our family's ancestors were actually Norwegian. They came over to Scotland in the 9th century. She says that's why we all have blonde hair in our family. Anyway, it became more and more difficult for my great-grandparents to make a living farming, so they travelled south. They finally arrived in the north of England, in Newcastle, with their 8 children. Alice was born soon after they arrived.
Taped 7.11. Talking to Grandma.
So, Grandma, your parents were both born in the Orkney Islands, is that right?
Yes. My mother was called Jane. She grew up there and she married when she was just 17.
And you were her 9th child?
Yes. I was the only one born in England. Times were really hard for my mother. You see, my father died when I was 3. I can't remember him at all.
So what did your mother do?
She worked as a cleaner and a dressmaker.
She had 2 jobs and a big family.
Oh, yes. She was an amazing lady. But my 2 eldest brothers, they got work in the shipyard, so that helped too. All my brothers and sisters have died now. I'm the only one left.
I know. Did you marry young, Grandma?
Oh, no. I didn't marry until I was 22.
That's still young.
It wasn't unusual in those days. And I had only 3 children.
But now you have lots of grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
I do. They live all over the world, not just in Australia.
I know. I have cousins in New Zealand and America. But Cousin Peter still lives near you, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He helps me keep in touch with you all with this Skype thing.
Yeah, this Skype is amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I love it. I talk to all my grandchildren and I've seen all my great-grandchildren. I email sometimes too. Email, Skype and texting. It's all really wonderful, isn't it?
It is, Grandma. It's just great talking to you. I've got lots more questions for next time.
Taped 7.12. Question tags.
It's really wonderful, isn't it? You come from Scotland, don't you? Life wasn't easy then, was it? You've lived in England for years, haven't you?
Taped 7.13. It's a lovely day, isn't it? 1.
It's a lovely day, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Beautiful.
We all love days like this, don't we?
We certainly do.
2.
Mummy, our cat isn't very big, is she?
No, she isn't. She's just a kitten.
And she loves fish, doesn't she?
She does. It's her favourite food.
3.
We had such a good holiday, didn't we?
We did. We had a great time.
And it wasn't too expensive, was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't expensive at all.
4.
The baby looks just like her mother, doesn't she?
Uh-huh. Same blue eyes, same nose.
But she's got her father's blonde hair, hasn't she?
Yes, she's very fair.
Taped 7.14. 1.
It was a great party last night, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I really enjoyed it.
2.
Dave knows everything about computers, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. He can fix them and program them.
3.
You went to school with my brother, didn't you?
Yes, I did. We were really good friends.
4.
Learning a language isn't easy, is it?
No, it isn't. It needs a lot of practice and patience.
5.
Our English has improved a lot, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. We're all much better now.
6.
We haven't had a break for ages, have we?
No, we haven't. It's time for one right now.
Taped 7.15. 1.
It's horrible weather today, isn't it?
Awful.
The rain makes you miserable, doesn't it?
Yup. And wet.
Never mind. We need the rain, don't we?
I suppose so.
2.
It's so romantic here, isn't it?
Yes, it's beautiful.
And the sea looks so inviting, doesn't it?
I think I'll go for a swim before breakfast. I've got time, haven't I?
Of course you've got time. We're on holiday, aren't we?
3.
You don't like Anne, do you?
She's all right.
But you didn't talk to her all night, did you?
Well, she was talking to Jim, wasn't she?
She's very interesting, actually.
But she never listens, does she? She just talks and talks and talks.
4.
I'd love to buy that car.
But we haven't got any money, have we?
I thought we had lots.
But we spent it all on a new kitchen, didn't we?
Oh, yes. So we did. Never mind.
We can save up, can't we?
OK.
5.
We had a lovely holiday, didn't we, Dave?
We did. It was very relaxing.
And the weather was marvellous, wasn't it, Dave?
Yep, we were very lucky.
And we met some nice people, didn't we, Dave?
We did. Charming people.
6.
Kate Burton's a fabulous actor, isn't she?
Very good.
And she's got such a good voice, hasn't she?
Yes, it's amazing.
She can hit the highest notes, can't she?
Yep. I don't know how she does it.
7.
We love each other very much, don't we?
We do.
And we want to get married one day, don't we?
One day, yeah.
And we'll have 6 children, won't we?
Yeah. 6. That's right.
8.
That was a terrible match, wasn't it?
Awful. Waste of money.
Albertino played really badly, didn't he?
He was rubbish. He didn't do a thing right all night, did he?
We deserved to lose, didn't we?
I'm afraid so. I don't know why I support them.